Hey guys, what's up? Narcoleptic23 here. I'm back because I know you guys missed me. I know all my adoring hundreds upon thousands of fans. I know you guys had to see me again. So I'm making a video because I haven't made a video in a while. But it's not gonna be a movie or a game review so far because all the movies I have seen, which aren't that many, you've probably already seen and have your own opinions of. But I am going to be discussing something because since the last time you saw me, I've started expanding my DVD collection. I've actually been collecting a lot more DVDs, and I want to talk about some of the stranger things I found. Well, not so much strange as like movies I think not many people know about, but are still pretty decent. There's four of them. So I'm going to start off with this. This is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, right? This is a British comedy movie made by a director called Guy Ritchie. From what I can ascertain, Guy Ritchie is an English director that was married to Madonna, is still married to Madonna. I don't know. He dated Madonna. That's all you need to know, right? And this is his first breakout film. Like this is the film that got him a national attention, not only in England but also here in America. It's basically a heist movie. Like it's basically I think you could compare it to Ocean's 11, but not so much because this is like before all the Italian jobs, before Ocean's 11. This is like one of the original bank heist movies, or one of the better ones in my opinion. As for star power in this movie, there's not a lot to look forward to except for Jason Statham, who does take part in the movie. This is actually the movie that brought Jason Statham to national attention here in America. As for the plot, it's simple and yet completely irrational and complex at the same time. It's basically about this group of four guys um, who lose a rigged card game to a porn mogul. Um, he's basically one of the most powerful men in England, at least in the city they live in. So you know how basically there's a story about how these kids owe the mafia boss money. You know that's the American version. Well, in England apparently it's porn moguls, like it's people who own porn shops. So this man who owns a porn shop apparently is a millionaire, and they lost a game of cards to him, like a game of poker. It was rigged, and now they owe him £500,000. That's about $750,000, I think. And they have a week to pay him off. Otherwise, heads are going to start to fucking roll. So, what do? Of course, the most logical thing. They're going to rob somebody. But they don't just rob anybody. No. Apparently, their next door neighbors are weed dealers. And not weed dealers. If they steal drugs and sell them themselves. So their neighbors are going to rob some guys who actually grow weed. Apparently the best weed in England, and they have a shitload of cash. So they plan to steal the cash and the weed. So their plan is to ambush the guys after they've stolen the cash and the weed and steal it from them to use it to pay off the porn star, the porn mogul, right? Obviously nothing goes according to plan. And what I like about Guy Ritchie is this. He tells a story from like different points of views. Like there's at least five storylines, and they're all completely different. Like at the beginning, you have no idea what they have to do with each other. Like there's the four kids' point of view. There's the porn mogul's point of view because he's trying to steal some guns. There's the guy who's hired to steal the guns for the porn mogul's point of view. There's the weed dealer's point of view. There's the neighbor's point of view. There's the pimp who owns the weed dealer's point of view. Everybody gets a storyline. Every single character you see basically gets a storyline. And at the beginning, it just seems like a jumbled mess of storylines. But in the end, they all like intertwine. Like they all had something to do with each other from the very beginning. So it makes sense. You know, he brings it all together so fluently. And like it's not just like I've seen like American movies that have tried to do this, and it just looks sloppy. Like it just looks like it wasn't like it's forced. But Guy Ritchie does it so fluently that it actually looks like, you know, it makes sense at the end. So of course, nothing goes according to plan. A lot of people end up dead. They get blamed for everything. They end up with zero money at the end of the movie. But I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens because you really should go out and get this movie. Like seriously, rent it, buy it. I don't care. Watch it. Give me your opinion because to me the movie's hilarious. It's hilarious. One of the rare movies where I've seen Jason Statham smoking weed. That alone makes it pretty much viable. Um, but I want you guys to check it out. So that's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Other Guy Ritchie films you might want to check out. Basically, he's made 4 films that are basically this same premise but elaborate. There's Snatch, which is basically Lock, Stock but expanded with more complex characters and more complex storyline and more star power. Brad Pitt's in it, and Jason Statham, of course, returns. Then there's Revolver. I haven't seen Revolver, but what I've heard about it, it's basically like a psychological mind game. Like it's like the most fucked up thing you've ever seen. I haven't seen it. It's not as popular as his other movies. And then there's the recent film Rock and Rolla, which isn't a heist movie, but again brings the elements of different points of view into it. In a way, it's not a heist movie, but there is stuff that gets stolen. A lot of people get killed. Very entertaining. I've seen almost all of them, and the ones that I have seen, I've been very impressed by them. So I would recommend Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. The second thing I want to talk about is something that I don't know how a lot of people are going to react to it. It's nothing amazing, but it's something I found in like the back shelf of like a video store when I was so desperate to find a new movie. Um, it's this. It's the Danger After Dark collection. Now, this is from what I've been able to gather. Danger After Dark is basically a horror like a horror producing company that puts that takes Japanese horror films and markets them to American audiences, right? So this is like their essentials collection. This has 3 movies. They're not all horror films. They're all very Japanese and very fucked up. The first one I want to talk about is the one on the cover, which is apparently the main selling point for the movie. It's this Suicide Club. This movie is good. I enjoyed it. So it's a horror slash thriller type of movie, but you know how the Japanese do horror. You know how the Japanese do anything. Japanese people never do anything the way you expect them to do stuff. They always have to go over the edge, over the top. Anything they can do that seems completely insane, they will do it, and this is no exception. Right? I'm going to try to explain this story to you without seeming completely insane or high. All right? It's basically here's a short version. It's in Japan, obviously, and randomly, kids from high schools just start committing mass suicides for no apparent reason. And when I'm talking mass suicide, like this film opens with 50 girls in a subway station holding hands, jumping into an oncoming subway. All right, what if, this is basically it opens, wham, girls jump in, blah, sea of blood, severed limbs everywhere, heads rolling, arms flying. What more could you ask for an opening scene? It doesn't even have like the opening credits bullshit that most of the American films have. It's like, fuck that. No, we're going for the hardcore shit now. Right? Basically, the entire movie is just this cop who's trying to figure out what's behind the mass suicide. Because at first they just think it's like a bunch of kids on drugs or something. But then they figure out it's much more complex. At first, they think it's an internet site that's making kids want to kill themselves. A group of like these homosexual transvestite gay guys takes credit for like the suicides. They kidnap teenage girls, they rape them and stab them inside like sleeping bags and shit. Like there's this one part. Seriously, this is the part where I realized I could not watch this movie without doing something, like some sort of drugs or something. There's this part where like these 2 girls are like trying to take credit, like they're the ones who are running the site that's convincing people to kill themselves, right? And then they get kidnapped by the group of homosexual transvestite gay guys I talked about, and they go into this their leader, who like owns one of his guys like a dog. He's sitting on a chair made of God knows what. Goes into like this musical number about suicide, and one of his henchmen, like the girls are in like pillowcases, like big ass sacks. I don't know what they are, but one of them, they're like in a bowling alley, for Christ's sake. And one of them, just like during the song, slips into the bag with one of the girls, rapes her, stabs her inside the bag, then rips open the bag and comes out covered in blood and guts with